I'd always liked 7 Seconds. I had a couple of their CDs, but it was like later material, right? Like I don't think I ever heard The Crew until I realized it was hitting this anniversary, and I was like, hey, I want to check that out. And then I listened to it, and I was like, oh yeah, this is not what I remember 7 Seconds sounding like.
Not at all. It's very different. Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, definitely. 7 Seconds went through a lot of iterations and changes throughout their career. Like,
yes,
in the 80s did like,
right.
That album is probably the most true, pure, like early hardcore record. And then all of a sudden, they became this U2 kind of sounding band in like the 80s for a minute.
Yeah, a couple of bands had that like Bad Religion put out some bullshit. Like,
really?
You don't remember the Bad Religion like new wave album?
I would be making fun of that record all the time if I remembered that record. I don't.
Well, then you're welcome, because yes, that exists. What's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome back to the Punk Rock Review Podcast, man. We have a substitute teacher in the house today, man. This is my homie Nitty. We met through the channel. Hangs out in my Patreon, not subreddit, Discord server. And we got to be pretty friendly, man. We talked a couple of times, like outside of the server, like this, and thought, man, let's hang out a little bit, dude. Let's Rob's dealing with some stuff right now, and he's doing well. He seems to be rebounding okay, and so he's my thoughts. I'm sure he's very well aware, but he asked me specifically to leave the Metallica conversation for him because that's like his favorite. That's like his favorite record, and I was like, dude, no problem. So we moved on to some other stuff that I think you and I would rather talk about, anyways. Yeah. So today we're going to talk about Agnostic Front, Victim in Pain, and 7 Seconds, The Crew. It's interesting, man. These bands both turn the big 4-0 this year. And Agnostic Front literally just played Austin like a few weeks ago. It's kind of crazy that the band is 40 years old, because if the band's 40 years old, that the dudes in the band got to be, I say, no less than 55. Like, you got to be like no less than 55. And that's probably pushing it.
I'm going to say they're probably edging 60 at this point. These
guys
are old. And they're still playing hardcore, which is fucking cool. That's the dream, right?
It is cool, though. Like, I have a lot of respect for that.
On stage, like, get a fucking cardiac arrest, coronary.
Dude, I actually, I'm pretty certain that Vinny Stigma is like over 60 now. Like, that dude's been around for a long time. That guy is dude, I got. So let's just start here. I want to start out. Can we start by talking 7 Seconds? I think it'll be a shorter conversation.
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
So let's talk 7 Seconds first, because mainly because I know less about them. So I figured it would be the appropriate entry point to this conversation.
Let's go.
I'd always liked 7 Seconds. I had a couple of their CDs, but it was like later material, right? Like I don't think I ever heard The Crew until I realized it was hitting this anniversary, and I was like, hey, I want to check that out. And then I listened to it, and I was like, oh yeah, this is not what I remember 7 Seconds sounding like.
Not at all. It's very different. Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, definitely. 7 Seconds went through a lot of iterations and changes throughout their career. Like,
yes,
in the 80s did like,
right.
That album is probably the most true, pure, like early hardcore record. And then all of a sudden, they became this U2 kind of sounding band in like the 80s for a minute.
Yeah, a couple of bands had that like Bad Religion put out some bullshit. Like,
really?
You don't remember the Bad Religion like new wave album?
I would be making fun of that record all the time if I remembered that record. I don't.
Well, then you're welcome, because yes, that exists. What is it called?
Check that out.
So, okay. My notes are real simple on this record, though. Real quick, I'm gonna get to that Bad Religion thing in just a second. We will talk about that.
We can segue into whatever, man.
I put down here like released in 1984 on BYO Records, which I think is crazy that label's been around since 1984. I didn't realize that.
Shout out Youth Brigade for fucking putting out music for that long,
Yeah, dude, it's crazy, man. But 18 songs at just over 20 minutes. It's a Minor Threat, Bad Brains inspired hardcore. I would say more Minor Threat than anything.
I hear a lot of Minor Threat in there,
yeah, a lot of Minor Threat. They're from Reno, Nevada,
right?
But I mean, both of the albums we're talking about tonight, or like 20 minutes or less. You could put both of these albums on one side of a 90-minute tape and have like 10 minutes left over.
Yeah,
like that's incredible, dude. Like it's just so crazy to me that full albums were 15 to 20 minutes back in the early 80s, and these bands were like, I don't give a shit. You don't like it, don't buy it. And it's like, there we go. That's the attitude that I'm looking for.
Absolutely. That's punk rock. You know?
So, had you ever heard this before?
I listened to it for the first time today, actually.
Oh, wow. That's
my
wild.
car on the way to the store. And
okay.
I almost full record in the 10-15 minutes it took me to get there. But
awesome.
it was I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I like 7 Seconds. I think that Kevin Seconds has a cool voice.
I agree.
I like the fact that he sings and he has like a sense of like, you know, melody as opposed to maybe other hardcore that's a little more shouty, like the East Coast stuff.
We're going to talk about that in a minute. These are two records that came out in the same year, like really close to each other, of the same style of music, vastly different sonic sounds.
100%. It's like two opposite sides of the punk spectrum.
Two opposite sides of the hardcore. You can even narrow it down because they're both like hardcore bands.
Yeah, they are.
Weird, isn't it?
Hardcore bands. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Did you have any songs that like kind of popped off? Kind of. I had a couple. I didn't have a ton because, dude, here's the thing, man. This goes with all these kind of records. Is that when you have a record that's this short, unless you listen to it like 30 times, you're not going to have the song or three that stick out to you and really, really grab you. I listened to it quite a few times because I drive really far to work. So I was able to listen to both these records twice on one trip to work. So, So,
these songs are short. I was going to say, when the songs are like 1 minute long, it just all kind of sounds like one fucking song. Like, you know,
dude,
like
parts,
you know?
It's like
it just keeps going, you know.
It's just like we had to listen to The Decline twice.
Oh yeah. It's like
and like, I mean, I'm like a known disliker. I don't hate it, but I'm a disliker of The Decline because I feel like they were like lazy about the fact that they just wrote an EP. And they just didn't want to put like, you know, whatever, man. I'm not here to bash them. No effects. I love that band, but Clenched Fists and Black Eyes is a standout track. It's got more melodic pogo punk feel to it, but that's kind of like the stuff I gravitate towards. Colorblind is a song where they have this like hip hop situation going on.
That was the one I was going to point out. Yeah,
I had a feeling. I knew you were going to bring that up. I should have let you do it. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. That was the one, Colorblind. I think that was the last song I heard when I pulled into the parking spot, and I was like, that was interesting.
Right? It's like some like new metal. Do we have them to thank for Limp Bizkit?
Yeah, Limp Bizkit ripped off a lot of the old hardcore stuff. Yeah, but no, it was cool. I enjoyed it. I with 7 Seconds, before we get into that record, I also hear a lot of the like stuff that was coming out of like Washington, you know, back east, you know,
a lot
DC style stuff, you know. Dag Nasty
that's all I kept thinking was DC.
Yeah.
Oh shit,
Dag Nasty was a huge influence. Although I think that Dag Nasty came out around 82, 83. Brian Baker from Minor Threat formed Dag Nasty, right? With Dave Smalley. Actually, there was another dude in the band first who I preferred to be the singer.
Okay.
A black dude who actually was a better vocalist in my opinion than Dave Smalley. Sean Brown. So there was an iteration of that band with Sean Brown as the vocalist. Who just I found that to be a better version of
Is there any footage?
Huh? Yeah, there's an album. Yeah, with Sean Brown.
Oh, it's a whole album. Okay.
Yeah. Dag with Sean. And then
I like Dag Nasty to the degree that I've heard them, but I would not I'd be lying if I said I was an expert.
I'm a huge fan. I think they really set the tone for like melodic hardcore. Like they were the ones that really were like, let's add melody to hardcore. And the West Coast bands took off with that shit. All that fat record stuff, like that's all Dag Nasty worship, you know.
I can
largely that. So, but no, yeah, that's what I hear more of in their music. You know, like Agnostic Front was a different beast, like compared to 7 Seconds.
Yeah, no, very different sound.
Anyway,
very different sound. I mean, different world. Think about it, dude. 7 Seconds is from Reno, Nevada. Agnostic Front is from like the slums of New York.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they're from like the shit part of New York. They're not even from like the glamorous side.
Right. Yeah. I think hardcore bands came out of Queens. You know what I mean? Specifically, I was watching this New York hardcore video documentary, and they're talking about where all the bands came from, and they're saying Queens was where most of the bands came from. Because you got to think, like, at that time, living in New York, like, you had different neighborhoods, like where you had the black kids, the whatever Spanish kids, you know what I mean, the white kids, Italians, Jews, Irish, like they're fucking all over town in different areas. So you couldn't go to certain parts of town because you get your ass whooped and fucking jacked, you know. So all these like white kids, for the most part, are playing fucking hardcore on one side. You know, they're lower middle class white kids, and they're playing music in the city, New York, where it's pretty fucking rough. Roger Moret, I think, came from a pretty fucked up household too. So he's definitely made that vocal. I think in a lot of interviews I've seen with them and stuff. But yeah, Agnostic Front, man, like you could feel the anger, the intensity. In that record.
Well, like, okay, so like, okay, on that note, you can hear like anger, resentment, and frustration within the 7 Seconds stuff, but you can tell that it's a different kind. You can tell that it's from. I don't want to say this in like a disrespectful way, but it's more of like a suburban anger of maybe why am I being treated like this by people that don't really care versus why are the cops breaking into my house and beating the shit out of me and taking me to jail? Like it's like a different social, spot, but not necessarily by a lot either. It doesn't take many degrees of separation to be in a completely different world when you're talking, monetary scale, right? So, and it's not some diss to be from a suburban area. People hear that and they get all defensive, and it's like, no, bro. You can't choose where you're born and brought up. That is not up to you. So if you were born and brought up in the suburbs, then you might sound a little bit more like Pennywise, right? Is that a bad thing? You don't have to sound like the Casualties to be a punk band, and you don't have to be from that part of the world or that neighborhood to be punk rock.
Right.
I do like that we have anger in both sounds, and it's just the roots of it are a little different, if that makes any sense. You know?
I completely agree with you. I mean, I will say 7 Seconds, like lyrically, they're more uplifting and positive, and they have been
kind of what I was trying to
over the course of their career. You know, Kevin Seconds is like straight edge. He's been straight edge the entire time, from what I know, right? And like, you know, adheres to that philosophy. You know what I mean? And there's a spiritual kind of aspect to their music that's always kind of been there. And they're always like, hey, you know, like you unite. You know what I mean? Like, you know, stand up for one another. Like let's form a better society together. Like skateboarding culture was a big part of it.
Okay, so when you have the unite, there's a better society, or let's create a better place. On the flip side of that coin, you have there's no justice, it's just us. It's a much more bleak, cynical way of looking at probably a very similar scenario, but you might be looking at it from the gutter rather than a front yard. So in the front yard, you're like, I can see that there's potential for change. And from the gutter, you're like, nah, dude, there is no way to change. Like, it's just fucked. We're all down. And I think it's all about perspective, because I feel like I gravitated towards Agnostic Front. When I was younger, I got a big-ass Agnostic Front tattoo on my forearm, right? I didn't get a 7 Seconds tattoo. Doesn't mean that I don't love the music. And I mean, in all fairness, we'll get into why in a few minutes. There's a very specific reason why. Sure. You know, just different journeys of each band will make that happen. But like you have songs like Colorblind, where they're actually like rapping in a song, right? And you don't think that Agnostic Front had some of that in their music? Of course they did. Do you know who his fucking brother is? It's Freddie Madball. So like you're telling, I mean, so like it's interesting because they have a lot of Latin flavor in their music, a lot of that kind of spice in their sound, and Madball specifically even more so. But Madball and Agnostic Front are like twin bands almost. They're like one that listens to like a little more rock and roll, one that listens to a little more hip hop, but they're definitely two sides of the same coin.
I think that hip hop and rap music was kind of parallel to punk, though, right?
Oh, like, I've always thought that, and I don't even like all of it, but I definitely respect it.
Especially on the East Coast in New York, that's where the birthplace of hip hop. Right, so it's like in the early '80s, you had the two different genres and scenes evolving at the same time, and I'm sure there was a lot of crossover and bleeding over into those.
Well, you have white kids, like you said earlier, it's a bunch of white kids playing punk rock, right? So you have like white rebellion, and then you have black rebellion. It's all rebellion. It's all political to a degree.
Exactly.
You know, I would venture to say that the feeling you get from beatdown hardcore isn't that far off from the feeling you get from drill. Like I can tell you that's kind of how they both feel. And then you have like you'll have like the minor threat bands, and they're also like the backpack rappers that have a little more lyrical I don't know the word. I can't.
A little more like cerebral, maybe kind of like
cerebral is a great word. Yeah. Cerebral. So like, it's man. Hip hop definitely is the cousin to punk, and vice versa. Punk is the cousin to hip hop. So. And if anybody doesn't see that, like, you don't have to love both of them to understand that. Like, I like a lot of rap, but most of my rap I like is down south stuff. I'm from here, and it's just what I enjoy. But like, I like, if I was to pick one, I like the knowledgeable stuff quite a bit. The lyrical stuff's more my speed than like the drill rap stuff.
Scarface was my shit, though. Speaking of,
I hate that fucking movie.
No, the fucking
rapper. The rapper. Thank you, bro. As soon as I started, dude. Thank you. We're agreeing on a lot of stuff tonight. What's happening? But like the dude, he's such an underrated rapper that even I wasn't thinking that's what you're talking about. Like,
he's great.
Scarface has got some jams. He was on songs, I think, with Tupac and Biggie, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think he was in some medical trouble not too long ago. I hope he's all right. I heard he was.
I would hear if he wasn't all right, so I'm assuming he was.
Good. I'm gonna need Scarface to make it.
Right, dude. Facts, bro. Did you hear the song? Okay, on the Crew, I just wanted to point out two more songs that I really enjoyed, and that would be Young Till I Die, because it's got a great gang vocal chorus and a very minor threat sound to the song. There's a two-step breakdown at the end of that song that I think is early breakdown, and it's really good, man. That's the kind of breakdown that I personally really like, because all it is this. It's the same thing, because like all it is that nowadays hardcore's choruses the tempo is slowed down. So the breakdown's also slower. Well, back then the chorus's tempo was sped up, so the breakdown was also sped up. But it was still the same idea as a hardcore song now. It's just faster. But I like the faster breakdowns personally. I don't like the super metallic stuff. Is not really my speed. I like. There's always going to be something I like out of it, but it's just not one that I typically listen to full albums of. Outside of Hatebreed, I love that band for some reason.
Hatebreed, I think that Satisfaction is the Perfection of Desire.
Oh.
I mean, first of all,
is the Depth of Desire.
I've always loved that album title. It's such a hardcore title for a record.
Right? Oh yes, dude, that's the most hardcore album title probably ever.
That album fucking hits hard. I can't speak for Hatebreed's later stuff. I didn't really listen to them much, but I think they pretty much turned into like a metal band at some point.
Pretty close, if not all the way. Yes.
Right, and I think that like hardcore now, if you've noticed, it's more or less metal. It's not even punk anymore. A lot of the time, it's like the overlap between the two genres. It's kind of separated into like a whole thing.
Well, I think that there's two kinds of hardcore, and I know hardcore kids that are hardcore kids that listen to Throwdown and Hatebreed, but I also know hardcore kids that are like, Minor Threat is their favorite band of all time, and that's all they just listen to the hardcore punk part of it. And because like there's still bands like what's that band from? I think they're from Philly. Restraining Order. Have you heard Restraining Order?
It's one of those names that I mean it's a pretty cool name. I haven't heard their music now.
You should give them a listen, man. I think you'd really appreciate it.
On these pods, or just talk about it.
No. I don't listen to it on here. It'll get me claimed. Okay. Yeah, no. No, I'm not, dude. Here's the thing, dude. I put in like 35 hours a week on this channel, and about 4 hours of it is monetizable. So I have to have that. Like I just went and made that Rancid video we did, the stream. I just made it private, and I'm editing all the music out because I can't. I literally have hundreds and hundreds of views, and it's just what. And I'm not even tripping. Like whatever, man. I'm not trying to take from a band, but I don't understand how you can have dialogue with music and be talking about it and reviewing it and talking about the production and the lyrics, and that's not covered under fair use. It absolutely is, but the YouTube system is set up for that to not matter.
Yeah, you don't get fucked by YouTube.
Well, no, YouTube is the problem, not the labels. YouTube won't stand up to the labels because they're afraid of the labels pulling their music from their platform. It's all greed. It all comes down to greed. Not right or wrong. It's almost never about right or wrong. And you can go on any scenario in your everyday life and go, was it about right or wrong, or was it about greed? And I guarantee you, it's about greed almost every time.
Most situations, I would agree with you.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I'll send you some restraining order. I think you'd really like it. It
I would
very
love
much feels. You know how it sounds like Negative Approach, dude.
Oh, fucking Negative Approach is great.
Yeah, so like it's like, and they're a modern band. Like they're a new band that's been
Yeah.
out in the last like 5 years, dude. So like, if bands like that still exist, there's a place for it. And
Right.
it just is what it is, man. There's that band's fucking awesome. I mean, bands like The Chisel is almost in the oi realm, but it's still a hardcore band.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like other bands that kind of fit that narrative where they're like hardcore, but they're still punk.
Oh, there's so many. There's so many of them. There's a band called Electric Chair from New York. I don't know if you've heard them before. They're fucking wild. They're really just all over the fucking place. They're crazy. They're really popular right now too. Again, they ride that line between like kind of street punk but hardcore.
Okay, I might have heard them. I don't know.
Yeah. Chain Whip is another one. I would kind of put
Chain Whip is awesome, dude. Chain Whip is badass, dude. That's a good one.
They're gonna
No Time. No Time is a pretty good. They're right there on that line too.
Yeah,
dude. What else? Yeah. You're right. There's a lot of them. I just have to think about it for a while and go back through my notes because my memory is terrible.
Especially
if I didn't write this stuff down, bro.
Coming out. It's crazy to think like, also like, on the East Coast, at least with like bands like Negative Approach and, they're not from the East Coast, Midwest, but, like Agnostic Front, there was a skinhead component to a lot of those bands. Like, people would talk about seeing Agnostic Front play and there'd be the hardcore kids in the front. In the back, you had skins kind of shouting oi, oi, oi as the band was playing. And there's never any oi, oi, oi on the tracks, but these skinheads just came out to the shows.
Well,
watch hardcore bands.
I think Agnostic Front aligned themselves with the skinheads.
Okay,
I mean that was intentional. Got
it.
So actually, you know what? Let's pivot over to Agnostic Front for a minute. Sure. So that same year, 1984, Agnostic Front comes out with Victim in Pain. So let's see here. Yeah, debut Agnostic Front record that followed their first release, which was an EP called United Blood. Victim in Pain was released on Rat Cage Records, 11 songs in just over 15 minutes. That is absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
Very good old New York hardcore when hardcore was still based in punk and had similar goals and such. That's just something I wrote down.
Mm-hmm.
I put down, there aren't a lot of songs that stand out on this record. They're also short and fast. They kind of blend together a bit, just like you were saying a minute ago. Two that definitely stand out to me though are Blind Justice, because earlier I was just talking about that bridge in the song, there's no justice, it's just us. Right. And Your Mistake, because there's a band out of Houston called Your Mistake, and that's how I heard about this old Agnostic Front album, was because of that band. The title track's also like kind of a hardcore anthem at this point. But this album's so blistering fast, dude, but it's so damn good because there's a venomous anger in there that you can't get unless you've just been done wrong. You cannot get this kind of anger unless you have a reason for it.
It has such a visceral quality to it that's like undeniable, right? I mean, you could hate punk rock and not understand anything about it and hear it and be like, holy shit, this is like this is for real.
That's exactly right.
And I think that's a really rare quality in music. I mean, because a lot of times with hardcore and punk, like you can tell if someone's trying too hard,
Right.
You can tell if someone's just going through the motions and doing the thing to do the thing too, not to take away anything from their music, but like this is like OG original fucking hardcore, and I'm reading on the Wikipedia page that Ray B's from Warzone was the drummer on this record also.
Correct. Yeah, well, they were all like really, really, really closely knit, man. Warzone and Agnostic Front. But that's another thing, is like Warzone is a hardcore band, but if you look at their imagery, it's all skinhead imagery, right?
Very skinhead.
Those two scenes were the only reason I know anything about skinhead lifestyle is because of hardcore. And I didn't even realize that I was listening to hardcore and oi music when I was listening to it, because to me it was all punk rock. This is where like 2005 is where that shit starts to change, bro. It was all blended together until the early mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Like what I was going to say earlier is whenever Agnostic Front, the reason that I got into their music before I got into these other bands' music is because they had the good fortune to get linked up with Epitaph Records, and they had a couple of records that were produced by Lars Fredriksson. And if you go listen to those records, anybody that ever has any question as to when Lars Fredriksson got into Oi music, go back and listen to the early stuff that he produced. It's stuff like Dropkick Murphys and Agnostic Front from the 90s. Okay, that shit is all Oi music. That's all he was doing, was making these bands put out Oi records, right?
Right.
So when I first heard Agnostic Front, I heard Something's Gotta Give. I heard Right Upstart. That's how I got introduced to those bands, or excuse me, to that band, was through those records. And to me, it was all just punk. I didn't know there was a difference. So when I first heard Victim in Pain, now it's been a long time now, but it was like 10 years into listening to Agnostic Front before I ever heard Victim in Pain.
Yeah.
This is the first time I ever really listened to the Crew, but I've listened to Victim in Pain for a long time, because that's been a staple in Houston for many, many years, because we got bands that have, like, shoot, Liberty and Justice. That band name comes from Agnostic Front too. They have an album called Liberty and Justice. I mean, dude, so many bands got their names from Agnostic Front songs and lyrics. It's kind of incredible.
Yeah, I mean, these are kind of, Last Warning. That's a great name. They're just two very strong words, kind of, juxtaposed to each other. So,
right.
it's like every punk band's dream, is having a strong name.
But no, that's you, dude. You have to have a good name if you're gonna make it in punk rock. You have to. If you have a shit name, you're never gonna be able to amount to anything. So yeah, man. So Agnostic Front comes around, and they have had like 3 different lifespans in one band, because they have the 80s Agnostic Front, which is very much hardcore, but is very much based in punk hardcore. Then you have like the 90s all the way up to like maybe 2002, and it's all like Oi music, still fast, still based in hardcore, but better production, a little bit better vocals. You got gang vocals introduced to it. You got a little bit of melody introduced to it. And then you have like 2004 or 5 roll around, and they started doing that Hatebreed-esque heavy hardcore stuff. And I do believe that if you take the 90s stuff and the 2000s stuff and you mix it together, you ultimately just get the early 80s stuff anyway. So there's aspects of all of their stuff in their very first record.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not too familiar with Agnostic Front. That was one of the bands that I kind of just like skipped over a lot later.
Sure.
As I get older, ironically enough, I'm going back and listening to older punk now, like from the 80s.
I do the same thing.
It's funny. I listened to the Germs for the first time really today too, and they're fucking great.
Yeah. So okay,
I'm like, oh, this is like a precursor to hardcore. Like this is like
right.
Yeah, so I never really gave them a shake back then because I wanted to listen to like NoFX and Pennywise and fucking whatever was on.
Okay,
you know what I mean? So
I want to go ahead and I want this has to be like public knowledge because we're like the same age.
Yeah,
and I get absolutely crushed online for saying stuff about these bands like you're talking about, like, yeah, but like you get it, you understand exactly why I behaved the way that I did with the music that I behaved with, right? Yeah, and like you notice when you said, oh, I never really listened to Agnostic Front, they're a really important band to me. I got a tattoo on my forearm when I was 19 years old.
Yeah,
I didn't shit on you for it. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm glad you're listening to it now. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I'm glad you heard it, though. I'm glad you have some positive stuff to say about it. I'm glad you're critiquing it. I don't understand why these people get so up in arms about music. If you don't know it, you don't know it. Like, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
You know, whether you get to it, the record, like, what is there some kind of time? You know, what are we talking about? Because if that's the case, there's an expiration date on it. Then
yeah.
Then it can't be a classic because there's an expiration date. A classic's a classic because they're good and you hear it when you hear it. Like, what are you talking? People are wild, bro. Like, you gotta know. Although
I think with punks, a lot of times it's like people are just trying to be in the cool club.
Yes.
You know?
A lot of weasel style,
like,
baby.
oh, what do you mean you don't know about this like seminal record? Or you're supposed to know about certain bands, or you're supposed to know about the Clash and love the Clash. I mean, hot take, the Clash is cool. They got some great. They have some great songs. Do I think that they're like one of the best bands in punk? No, I don't. Now, I can see other people arguing with me tooth and nail about why they're important, and then they'll go into this objective history.
Well, you didn't say they weren't important. You just said were they one of the best bands? I mean, like that meant sonically, right? Like, I mean, obviously their message was incredibly important, and they were important for the time. But like, just because like I don't listen to I don't drive a 1984 car because the cars have improved. Like,
it's true. Yeah, that's a good analogy. But like, you know, I guess there's a difference between. And this is a topic for a different conversation. We can stand this on these bands and stuff, but like, there's a difference between liking a band and being like, this band is great, and like understanding kind of like their historical significance and like what they did, right? On like an objective level, right?
Yeah.
Do I think the Clash was historically significant? Absolutely. Like,
right.
It's
kind of hard to argue they weren't.
Right. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. So, but it's like, I think that people just kind of like, you have to like them because they were the first band to like, no, I don't. Like, I don't have to like the Clash as much as you do. Like, that's not fucking true. So I'm sorry. But then they say that without the Clash, there wouldn't be X, Y, and Z band that you like. And then that's kind of the argument they make a lot of the time, right?
I mean, my argument is always very simple. Just because you were the first doesn't mean you're the best. It just means you were the first. That's it. That's all that means. That's all that is. Congratulations, you're older. Like, fuck off. Like, I don't.
Turnstile conversation I want to have with you later because there's
a reason that shit right now. Fuck that band.
No, there's a reason why I said they're important though, and it's not based on my opinion of that music. I could give a fuck about the music. I'm just saying like what they did for rock.
What'd they do for rock?
Dude, I'm telling you, they created a whole wave, dude. I fucking promise you, bro.
All they did was copy the Refused.
Well, they have way like okay. Look at how many Spotify like. You know,
I don't give a fuck about Spotify, man.
It doesn't matter, dude. Randall, the point is that they've managed to do something to change the zeitgeist of a genre. Like other bands, I'm telling you, like, we're gonna table this conversation and we'll come back.
Keep going, keep talking. Man.
I want to talk about Agnostic Front in 7 seconds.
We can do that too, bro. I got all night, man. I'm fucking flabbergasted by your silly ass fucking Turnstile. Fuck Turnstile. That band's ass. They don't even wear fucking shoes.
What do they do to you? What did Turnstile do?
They don't make any fucking music that's worth a shit. Their music's boring as fuck, dude. They're not a hardcore band. They're not a fucking. That's like okay. That'd be like if I got on here.
That's the thing. They're not like a punk band. They're not a hardcore band. They're just a fucking rock band. You know.
Okay, so that I can definitely agree with that. But we're not talking about rock bands on my streams or the podcast. Typically, it's a punk rock show, and people bring up Turnstile and call them a hardcore band. And it's like if I was like, oh man, that band Lit was a great punk band in the 90s.
Ooh.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about? They had 2 riffs that sounded remotely pop punk.
Yeah, Lit wasn't.
So, well, but that's a really good comparison because that's exactly what it was. Is they're talking about a band that's got like a dash of something in it as if it's some great band in a genre. And dude, does Turnstile have some catchy songs? Sure. Are there a couple songs that I even actually like quite a bit? Yes, I have no issue with that. My issue is that, you know, when we're on a stream or something and we're clearly talking about punk, hardcore, and metal, right? Like just these mostly just punk and hardcore. Honestly, I don't really like metal that much either. And people's like, oh, what's up with Turnstile? What the fuck, Turnstile, dude? That band's not a like it. But and like I'm on the hot take of end of all this because a lot of people call them a hardcore band. Hell, Finn McKenty probably thinks they're the greatest hardcore band of all time.
Oh, that guy, yeah. I mean, whatever.
That guy, he's a lot.
I think that the reason people call them a hardcore band is because they have hardcore roots, and you know, at one point we're actually making punk music or like hardcore music, right? So,
I mean, that's like telling me that the new Blink-182 album is a great pop punk record, then, because they've got pop punk roots and they had a great pop punk record in 1999. Like, what the fuck? Who cares? That was 1999. This album is not a pop punk album; it's just a rock album. So, yeah, I mean. Whatever though, Turnstile, they're great. Hey, let's hear it for Turnstile.
People ride hard for that band.
They can ride these nuts. Fuck Turnstile. I'm gonna ride it down on that. All I really want to do is make all their stands irritated, so they'll fucking.
I need engagement. Piss them off. Make them get
I need it. Well, the thing is that everybody has this misconception about me. People think they know me, and they fucking don't. I don't give a shit if you like me or not. Like it's not the point. We're just talking, not you specifically, like just like the people that get angry with an opinion. They're like, oh, this guy. And then they go, well, you're a douche or whatever. And then I go, oh, you're a douche. And then they're like, oh, well, you must care because you commented back. And I'm like, no, dude, like my business is getting you to say stuff to me. Like, so I have to make you think that I care. I don't give a shit.
I can honestly tell you that a lot of people that know you and probably have engaged with you know that you don't give a shit. You know, so
I wear that with pride, my friend.
I'm pretty confident that, you know, most people get that.
Well,
anyway,
if you talk to me for a few minutes, you'll understand who I am, dude. It's not that I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what people think about me. And there's a very, very, very big difference there, you know? And I mean, you know, we can relate that to these albums, dude. Agnostic Front. They probably don't give a shit what anybody thinks either, but they give a shit. They give a shit about, like, I care about you. I care about my audience, man. If I didn't care about my audience, I wouldn't put all the time I put into this. That's very obvious. But you know, some bands, super ultra fan, like, you think I give a fuck what Green Day fans think about my channel? No, I don't. Would I like them to be here and hang out there and want to be cool? Absolutely. But like, bro, I don't care. Like, you don't like it, you don't like it. It's like, and I don't take it personally either. Like, I'm a niche channel with a niche audience and a niche subject matter. Like, it's all good.
Turnstile, I think, just last closing thought about Turnstile. I think the reason they're so culturally significant is because they're bringing hardcore. You love this segue, don't you? Is that they're bringing hardcore into the mainstream in a way that other bands haven't been able to. So it's like they're
not a hardcore band, sir. We've talked about this.
Okay. The Gateway, dude. The Gateway. Okay, think about the Gateway bands, man, from the 90s. We had Gateway bands.
Dude, I know. I don't really care. I mean, MGK is a gateway band to pop punk, and pop punk's a gateway to street punk. I get how that works, but that's not what my point was. I understand your point, and I just was laughing because you brought up Turnstile again, and I really thought we were Turnstile. And I don't care. I don't care. We can talk about it all night. They don't, dude. They need to put on some fucking shoes and quit being dirty hippies, man. Like stop, get a haircut. Put on some fucking shoes.
Those kids got stupid famous. I mean,
yeah. I mean, good for them. I don't, dude. But here's the thing, dude. But like, dude, is that what we care about? We care about fame? Well, I didn't realize that because I didn't think that's what we cared about.
I like to approach music as much of a punk as I'm at heart. The way that I see music is like a social phenomenon too, right? It's like it's like the shit that appeals to the fucking like masses in some way. It's like, one thing isn't better than anything else. At the end of the day, it's all the same shit, dude.
That is not true.
Hey, listen, man.
You can't tell me that there's not objective good and bad. That's retarded, dude. That song Friday is objectively fucking terrible.
Okay,
yeah. Friday. You tell me that's as good as a fucking...
Someone fucking loves that. It's not me.
That doesn't mean it's fucking good. Hey, my kids love Crustables. Crustables are garbage.
Dude. Sabrina Carpenter, you've heard her music, right? You can't avoid it, right? Sabrina Carpenter, that pop artist. Yeah, you do. You've heard it. Please. That song on the radio. I don't know. The radio's on my car. So,
I don't listen to the radio, bro. I haven't listened to the radio in like 20 years, dude. I mean, my brother's the radio DJ. I still don't listen to the fucking radio.
Oh, really? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, 94.5 The Buzz in Houston. Shout out Jeremy on The Buzz.
Tight, dude. Jeremy on The Buzz.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, he just got engaged too, man. Congratulations, bro. If you ever hear this, I love you, man.
Is it
the gayest way possible?
Is it like an alternative rock station, or is it like a?
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah,
he knows.
It's like terrible fucking music, dude. Shout out to The Buzz for never changing their fucking playlist and standing firm on the fact that the Foo Fighters are clearly the greatest band of all time. What the fuck, man? Queens of the Stone Age fucking suck. The Foo Fighters are pretty bad. They're okay, but like, bro, what are we doing?
I think pretty bad. I think they're pretty bad.
I don't want Dave Grohl catching strays for no reason. He's a cool enough guy. But like, shit, man, like at least play like, I don't know, man. The Killers are okay, I guess. But man, God, that radio station plays bad music. It's like Nirvana. Stop playing Nirvana, dude. Nirvana's played out. Stop playing Nirvana.
I 100% agree with you. Although Pat Smear that played in Nirvana at the end was in Germs. Did you know that?
I did know that actually. Yes,
he was a guitar player in Germs, man.
Before he's Nirvana is one of the most overrated.
Yeah.
Oversaturated. I honestly wish they had never I wish he was still around so he wouldn't have to deal with this shit, man. Like his spirit is just shaking his head going, dude, he stop playing my music like it's some fucking he didn't want it to be what it became, I don't think, man.
Kurt Cobain wanted fame, dude. I don't think
so either, bro. That guy was a miserable person in a way that I don't know that he could choose to be or choose to not be. I think it was just like inherently in him that like there was some depression, and with depression comes misery. And so, like, when I say miserable, I don't mean it in a disrespectful way. I mean, like, I think he had some real chemical imbalances that he was dealing with, and like,
absolutely,
you know, and then you get with somebody like Courtney Love. Are you serious? That woman is
you
so
like
Toxic was made for her.
You didn't like Nirvana when you were a kid?
Fuck no, I didn't like Nirvana, man. I was cool,
really? Dude. Okay,
I wasn't cool, by the way. That was a joke, but like, no, I didn't like Nirvana.
It's hard to like when you were like 12 years old and like whatever 1991 too. Nirvana was like fucking the shit. I mean, at least where I lived. I mean, everyone.
No. Dude, they were the shit down here too. But I had two older brothers that were into metal. So when I was young, I was a metal kid, dude. Like Nirvana was always like the whiny little bitch. There's a reason I don't like emo music because it just reminds me of fucking Nirvana.
Like, I mean, grunge, I think, in punk
is emo, dude. Grunge is emo. I don't like emo music, bro. Fucking Cry Me a River, dude. Fuck off, man. If you're gonna go, I'd rather scream than cry, and I cry all the time. I'm a big bitch. I cry all the time, dude.
Yeah, I wonder who's actually gonna watch this fucking episode.
A lot of people.
I'm gonna laugh at the comments when they come too.
Dude, you gotta remember, I've been doing this for years, man. I've been talking like this for years. Ain't nobody gonna be shocked.
We're not even talking about the albums anymore. We're just talking shit about Nirvana.
Yeah, I told you when we got started. What did I say? I said we talk about the albums are like the entryway to the conversation. It's just a conversation. All right. Well, let's go back to a victim in pain, man. I feel like a victim. I've been pained by Nirvana for lots of years.
You feel like a victim of Nirvana? I'm a victim.
Oh man, look, dude. Here's the deal, man. People that are I might actually get canceled for this whole podcast because I hated on Nirvana this podcast. I've hated on Green Day's fans. I've hated on MGK. I've hated on the Foo Fighters, Queens of the Stone Age. But like, none of those bands are good though. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
Green Day is pretty cool. I like Green Day, all right, but they're like kind of douchey guys. But they're still good guys at the same time. It's like a really weird, like, it seems like they're pretty cool dudes, right? But they're also like rich guys. I mean,
the guy from Green Day, the singer, he has a little practice space above the record store my friend's a manager at. So he sees him like and all. So they're like around town. They like own little businesses in the Bay Area.
So I heard that they own 1, 2, 3, 4 Go Records. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Which is right down. I mean, pretty close to where I live.
Is that the place you're talking about?
Huh?
Is that the record store your friend works at?
Yes, correct.
Well, yeah, they own that. That's why they have a record. That's why they have a practice space above it.
No shit. Okay, that makes sense. I think his son is in some iteration of Green Day with him now or something. I don't fucking know, but like,
yeah, no, but saying that like tells me a lot about Billy Joe. I think he's an all right guy, but I just think he's too liberal for me. Like, just as far as being somebody that I'm gonna like ride or die for, and I don't mean that in like a disrespectful way. I just don't. I think he's into some stuff I'm not really into. His music was never like my favorite. I liked Offspring better back in the '94 time when that shit popped off. I liked Smash better than Dookie. To this day, I still prefer Smash over Dookie.
See, I was a Dookie guy. I went the pop punk direction. Like I really like, because here's the thing, right? Like, what choices did I have? I didn't have an older brother to get me into cool music, right? So I had to like shit. You know what I mean?
Let me clarify some things that I'm talking about here, because people are going to hear me say that I had an older brother and be like, yeah, but you said that you didn't have any family that got you into music. And that is accurate. My older brother is like 12 years older than me, and he lived in Dallas. Okay, so let me just be really, really fucking crystal clear before people get all pissed off. My older brother and I aren't close. I haven't talked to him since I was 18 years old, and I will never talk to him again. All right, that is 24 years that I've gone without talking to him. I'm not going to talk to him again. He did me super, super dirty in a way that you just don't do family. But when I was introduced to music, it was from him, and it was like Pantera, White Zombie. Yeah. And so when I got into music, I naturally just kind of like wanted to hear heavier stuff. So like when I heard Rancid the first time, it was an accident. And when I saw them play the first time, it was actually to see them open for Metallica. So like I was not there for Rancid. And I just was like, oh, it just changed me. It changed my DNA. It changed who I was. It wasn't anything that I can control. So like, I just wanted to be really clear, because people think that I'm making shit up sometimes, or that I'm dishonest for some reason. There's no reason to think that. I have I have nothing to hide from anybody. And I've never played to be cool or important or knowledgeable. There's a reason why my channel is the Punk Rock Review and not the Punk Rock Historian or the Punk Rock fucking whatever, right? I'm not an authority figure. I just like to talk about this stuff. It's fun.
I'm just saying, I think when I think about like being that age, like, and like being in the back of my like dad's car with my little headphones on, listening to the fucking like 90 fucking whatever the radio station was.
Right.
Like, I'm like, oh, like I got The Offspring. I got like Veruca Salt. I got like fucking I know, dude. They just like threw you random shit. Like
I had the Alanis Morissette CD too.
Fucking like Super Drag, that Who Sucked Out the Feeling song, like just these rando fucking like alternative rock songs, and then like all of a sudden, Green Day comes on the radio,
right?
And I'm like, this is fast. It's like melodic. It's got crazy energy. Like I haven't heard anything like this. You know what I'm saying? At that age, and I mean, I had a friend in the 6th grade that let me borrow the Out of Step LP, the Minor Threat LP.
Yeah,
right?
Nice.
I'm like, this sucks. I'm like, these guys are like, listen. I was too young to really appreciate it, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm just surprised.
I thought that like now rock was supposed to be like overproduced and polished. So in my head, I'm like,
right. I think we all did.
It's like, it's visceral, like it's like raw, but like these guys can't play their instruments, and it's recorded like shit. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, so, I'm glad you said that. I'll explain why in a minute. Go ahead.
But but looking back, I mean, I love Minor Threat now, right? I can listen to that record and be like, this is fucking great. Like Out of Step 10 Inch is fucking awesome, you know? But at the time, my like young brain wanted stuff that like had like a sheen on it, that was like kind of produced.
Well, yeah, we were young.
That's what rock was, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's what I was exposed to. So I just grabbed whatever appealed to me, you know?
Well, I find it interesting.
What was cool, what not cool. What's that?
I find it interesting that you said that you went the pop punk route when I said that I went with Offspring, because I would consider that the same thing. They're both pop punk bands, but sure. I appreciate what you're saying about wanting the sheen on stuff, because like I think a lot of times kids from our era will get shit for the bands we liked, and it's like, dude, when you're 12 years old, you want something that sounds melodic and a little bit produced well, like you're saying. And I had the same experience that you did with Minor Threat. I had that with the Misfits. When I first heard the Misfits, I was like, what the fuck is this, dude? Like, I didn't like them till I was damn near an adult.
Right.
And it's like, I have to go back and appreciate, like, honestly, dude, Victim in Pain wasn't an album that I liked a lot until I was like almost 30. Like, I just didn't care about it. I wanted something that, even when I was like 25, 26, I'd rather listen to the US Bombs. I'd rather listen to Hellcat albums or Epitaph records or some Fat stuff. I've never been a Fat guy. I've been more of an Epitaph guy my whole life. But it's interesting. I'm seeing now, talking to you in this like longer form, but it's just you and I'm understanding now why we actually get along so well for two people that actually have a lot of very big differences, like I can't say the word, ideologically. Is that a word?
Yeah, it is.
So we have different stuff in that part of our life, but we have a very similar background. We're almost the same exact age, and we both had like the same entry to the punk rock stuff. Like you had, you liked Green Day. Well, so did I. I liked them okay back then, man. And I just preferred Offspring, and I'm going to see Green Day tomorrow, literally, dude. I like that band. If I didn't, I sure as hell wouldn't have spent the money on the tickets. But I've always stood on the fact that I thought Green Day was a punk band, dude. They're punk in their bones, They still do what they want. They still put out albums like Father of All. He still does side projects. He still owns a label. Like, Offspring, dude, all the crap he gets. I mean, they did old Buddy wrong, the drummer, but like, the
white guy. I mean, they had their moments.
They had some real tacky shit. But dude, do you remember Nitro Records?
Yeah, of course.
That's owned by fucking Buddy from Offspring, man. I mean, Ensign, old AFI. Like, go look up the Nitro record stuff, dude, and tell me that record label isn't amazing. And Dexter Holland owns that.
There was that compilation, Go Ahead Punk, Make My Day.
Yep, I have a copy on vinyl at my shop. That's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I was never a big Vandals fan. I thought they were kind of goofy. But like,
I never liked the Vandals either, bro. Dude, we have way more in common than I thought.
I like that Hitler Bad, Vandals Good record, though. It's funny. It's kind of cool. Like, it's really like, have you heard that record?
Yeah, that's the only one that I think that's the only one I ever owned.
Yeah, I mean, it came out in the 90s. It's fucking goofy, and it gets a chuckle out of me.
I never understood the Vandals, and I think one of the reasons why I didn't care about 7 Seconds when I was real young is because they were always associated with those kind of bands, and I don't know why, but they were. Like, at least where I was at, when circles I ran with, that they were more. But I'm telling you, man, there was this big fat line in the sand. It was like Epitaph bands were here and everything else was on the other side. And I was a literal ride or die Epitaph stand. Dude. I loved that label. And like, I've got bands that I stand over. I'm not free of that from anybody. I mean, there's the Green Day fans. I do the same shit for Rancid.
But dude, we had a saying in California, Epiphat, because those bands all played together all the time.
Yeah, no, they were all friends.
They were all, of course, like, you know, bands that had an album on Epitaph would put an album on Fat. Bands that were on Fat put an album on Epitaph. So there was a little bit of crossover there, but you know,
well, the bands were friends. It was the fans that had the fucking the issue. We were like, I like Fat.
Growing up in California, like the whole like beach, like skate culture, like suburban kind of life, really appealed more to like that melodic kind of hardcore skate rock.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's just the stuff that people gravitated to like naturally around here. And so I think that maybe your friends and your kin and the people that you were friends with that were punks got into the heavier, more street stuff, you know, at a younger age than I did.
Yeah. We didn't do like down here. NoFX was never a big band.
Yeah, NoFX is huge.
Yeah, I got shown them by shout out Ramsey Bashara. He records a bunch of the good oi bands out of Houston, and he records a bunch of people, but like Liberty and Justice and Bullshit Detector both recorded with him. And I've known him since kindergarten, dude. We went to the same. I've known him my whole life.
Oh yeah.
But he got me into NoFX, but he also got me into Nirvana, NoFX, like all the stuff that would get me into music.
Yeah,
he showed it to me essentially, right? And like, but NoFX wasn't big outside of that. Like, all the bands that were really popular down here, it was like, yeah, you're right, dude. It was all like Exploited. Casualties were real big down here. Total Chaos was real big down here. The Unseen got really big down here. Clip 45, Lower Class Brats, like all the like Swinging Letters got real big down here, dude. Swinging Letters was huge, dude. I mean, Born to Lose was huge in Texas, dude. Like they were a big band. I talk to people all over the world now that know who they are, but like. Like they were, to me, they were as big as Rancid. I didn't know they weren't that big until I talked to people outside of Texas. And I mean, they still were like a pretty big band, but like I always thought that they were on the same level as like Rancid and NoFX, and it turns out that they weren't quite to that size. But like to me, they were, and so that sound was definitely very, very. It was a pillar of our punk rock community down here. Was like the street punk sound, because we all thought like punk rock meant mohawks, studded belts, black clothing. That's all we all wore.
Yeah, it was a little different here. I mean, that was obviously a component of it, but those kids, there was a separation between the kids that like rode skateboards and like
went to church. Oh, I got there.
And they went to church. Yeah, a lot of.
No, did you hear what you said? There was a separation between the kids that rode skateboards, and I said, and the kids that went to church. The separation of church and skate. No offense.
That was a joke. I got it.
Yeah, I'm terrible at that, but I got it though. It was awesome. Somebody will appreciate that. Somebody somewhere.
It's not a terrible joke.
No, it was just clever.
It was clever, but no, and it's just like different like subcultures within the punk umbrella, right? Like it's very different. Like, you know, the kids that liked like the faster stuff, like the whole skate rock thing, like that came out of like Oxnard and like Orange County, and like, you know, that whole culture of bands, like, you know, it's a very different than the like typical kind of street style, like more like rougher edged punk stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's the kind of scene that 7 Seconds came out of largely.
Correct. I think so too.
So, I mean, like when you compare bands like Agnostic Front to 7 Seconds, you know, it's like just different worlds and it kind of different like subcultures of punk.
I like it though. I like that we have two things from the same era that are like the same roots, just different fruit, different trees, different foliage.
Man. It's a
different plant, but it came from the same ground. It came from the same place. You know, it's like having a green apple and a red apple. They're both apples. They're both from the same tree. They're just a little bit different, man. And I think it's amazing.
I will say a lot of that 90s fat record style skate punk stuff, like it didn't age that well.
What?
I don't think so. I was a big Strung Out fan when I was a kid.
I hate that band, dude.
Right. I thought you would. You would. But like they kind of like the album Suburban Teenage Wasteland Blues. I went to a Warped Tour in like 1996 or 7. That was the fastest punk record I've heard. I mean, that drummer's a fucking. I mean, it's an insanely fast record. It was produced by Ozzy Osbourne. And,
what?
Yeah, it's weird, right? Like I guess so Ozzy. It's fucking weird.
Dude, that might be the craziest thing I've ever heard on this podcast.
Yeah, I mean,
you could have asked me a million times. who produced this? And I would have been like, this guy. You'd be like, hint, dude, he's a metal legend. And I'd have been like, I don't know everybody except Ozzy Osbourne. That's crazy.
So it's like this band. I mean, they just kind of incorporated a very like Southern California, like melodic kind of poppy, but they also had like a metallic kind of edge to them. And I'm like, oh, this is fucking perfect, you know. But it's cornballs. I mean, like looking back at it, like, you know, I have a soft spot for them because when I was like 14, I was in love with them, you know. So it's like, in a way, it's like nostalgic for me, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't think that sound aged well. I don't think that you can be in a band like that. I think bands like Agnostic Front or like more just like straight ahead bare boned punk bands. It's a more classic style that's not going to go away as quickly. You know what I mean? Point.
That's a good point. I think it's funny because if I was going to pick any skate punk band to listen to, it would be the one that didn't go to Fat. It's Pennywise.
Pennywise is awesome.
I know. So
Great
like,
band,
I guess you're right. I guess that Fat sound isn't, because even if you go to Fat Records now, most of their bands don't sound like that anymore. You get bands like Masked Intruder, or you get stuff like Get Dead, or you know, what is the other band they got?
Bands that they put out recently too, like
or you get like The Last Gang, which sounds like the Epitaph bands.
Sorry?
Or you have like The Last Gang, which sounds like an Epitaph band.
Oh, I'm not up to date with Fat Record stuff right now.
I mean, you know, I try to stay up to date with it mainly because I have a record store.
Dude,
but like,
Epitaph went down the tubes though, man. Like, I think
I don't agree with that. But
Religion, I think he pretty much lost the label. Like, he just like ran it into the ground. And then, like,
what are you talking about?
Dude, Epitaph is not the label that it was fucking in the 90s. That's for fucking sure. It's
not the label, but it's vastly, dude. It's very, very successful. Go look at what their sales are.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the bands that they're putting out now.
Oh well, no, dude. Like the 90s could only happen one time. It was a fucking thing that's like it'll never happen again. So yeah, no. If they wanted to stay like relevant, and making money, they can't keep putting out that kind of good music because that's not what's popular. But okay, I see what you're saying now. Yeah, I agree with that. They have some.
I don't even like recognize. Wasn't there a band called like Falling in Reverse or something? And like,
okay, so yeah, the thing is that they still. So here's the thing about Epitaph that you have to understand. Go look at their list of bands they still work with. You'll be surprised that there's still bands that we love that are on Epitaph, but they're just not really famous. So Epitaph puts out shit like Falling in Reverse, and that money comes in, and then they're able to help bands that we like that aren't necessarily going to make a lot of money. That is a fact. You can go look at it and it's really obvious. And it took me a while to figure that out because I was like, why are they putting out this stuff that is just not good, in my opinion? Yeah. And it's like, A, some of it is just stuff that they like, whatever. They like what they like. B, they're not dumbasses, dude. Those guys are incredibly smart. Look at who they are. Like, you know, they're business savvy, dude. Like, I kind of want to pull up some of their artists right now.
Yeah, I'm curious to see who's even on the label currently. I mean, I haven't paid attention to them for a long time. Artists.
Yeah, it's gonna blow your mind because they have a list that it'll tell you like
a lot of artists on their label, like a lot.
Dude, Alkaline Trio is still connected to that label. Architects is on there. Bad Religion's still on there. Bring Me the Horizon's still on there. Converge is still on there. Dan Andriano's other band's on there. The Descendants still work with Epitaph. Dropkick Murphys are still associated with them a little bit. Every Time I Die, Frank Turner, and these are bands that we would like maybe not, you know, champion every day, but like Hot Water Music, I personally like them a lot. Jim Lindbergh and Pennywise stuff. Yeah, dude, Joyce Manor's a great band. So it's like the only issue is that all the bigger ones are bands we don't care about.
Yeah, it's they know how to sign bands. I'll say that.
Right.
Like they know how to like scout artists and like bands that are either coming up or already kind of successful.
I agree with that.
You know, whereas like
dude, I mean, the Agnostic Front was on Epitaph. That label's incredible, man. Like they have their legacy is better than their modern roster.
I agree.
But like,
I agree. I don't think I've paid attention to them in the last few years because like I've gotten more into like underground punk stuff.
Well, that's the thing is that they are the ultimate gateway because if you can get into their music, you will find underground music because they ultimately support that. Their bands will bring on underground artists on tour. They will support the underground artists. Their bands on that label will wear the shirts of the bands that we like. Like, so the guys that are in the bands may not be making music we love, but those are dudes from our scene. And that is very evident just based on their go look at their imagery, man. You can just see it. And I have a lot of respect for what Epitaph does because I still think that they're the best underground label. Like if I was to be able to make a band, my goal would be to put an album out with Epitaph, like right now today.
Yeah.
And I own a fucking small label. Yeah. I could do it myself, but I would still want to put out an album with Epitaph. That would be my goal because I know that they treat their artists right to at least as far as I've ever heard. I've never heard anything bad.
I've heard good things about Fat Mike too. I mean, every band.
Fat Mike's a shithead, like just in general, but I think he treats his artists right.
There's a couple of podcasts that I've heard about with bands that have been on Fat, and they're like, yeah, man, we always got paid. He gave us a budget to record and tour, and that's awesome. We never got like fucking ripped off. And I'm like, all right, well, I mean, what more could you ask for from? I don't even know what
nothing. That is all you could ask for. Fat Mike's he's a problem person with problems, man. So the fact that he was able to make such great things happen in his life, I think is pretty amazing, honestly.
Yeah.
Have you ever met him before?
I have actually. I mean, he used to live in San Francisco, so yeah. I had a friend that did construction at his house. He has like a sex dungeon, or had a sex dungeon downstairs.
That's awesome.
With a bunch of like crazy like swings and like just random shit.
Oh yeah, he likes butt plugs and stuff, dude. He's into some
he's a kinky
weird,
dude. Yeah, like that's his thing.
So I'm not mad, bro. Dude, stick stuff up your butt if that's what you want to do. I don't care.
Right. Yeah. So my friend did some work at his house, and then the Fat Record warehouse was in San Francisco, and he had this like weird like sale thing going on, and I went over there, and he was just talking to fucking people and shit.
Yeah, I met him a couple of times at the Punk Rock Museum. How tall are you?
I'm like what 5'10".
See, I'm 5'8". I'm not a very tall person. I had no idea how fucking big he was. Like when I walked up, that dude's got to be at least 2 or 3 inches taller than me, and I did not expect that. Like he was like way taller than I thought he was going to be. And then he was also wearing boots, and he was also like a bigger person than I expected. Like he's just a larger human being than I was expecting.
Yeah, he's a big dude. Yeah. But I can't say like I said what's up to him. I've never actually.
Yeah. I talked to him for like 2 minutes, and then I mentioned to him Warped Tour 98 in Houston to see if he would remember what I was talking about. He knew exactly what I meant. It was pretty cool.
Oh, really? What was it?
Yeah.
Like?
So in Warped Tour 98, they played at the Astro Arena down here, which was a part of the Astrodome, and it was all concrete and it was indoors, and the fucking sound was terrible. And so they took all their money that they got, not all of it, I imagine, but a good chunk of their money. And they were like, we don't think we deserve to get paid all of our money, and we want you to have some of it back. And they just threw cash into the crowd. And I mean, a lot of cash, dude. Like I would say at least a few $1,000s. And I was able to get like 30 something bucks out of it. And I got like dinner, a couple beers, and a couple packs of smokes out of it. And I told him, thanks for the smokes and the beers. And he was like chuckling. He's like, oh shit, Houston. And he's like, I remember that, man. And it was cool. And he was having kind of a bad day. So I appreciated his, that he was talking to me for a second. No, he was like dealing with some personal stuff. And it was very obvious. Like he's there a lot, man. If you go to the Punk Rock Museum, you will run into him.
It's interesting.
It's cool, man. He's accessible.
Punk Rock Museum recently.
Do what?
Was there some controversy with him in the Punk Rock Museum? I remember reading a headline about it, but
yes, dude, it's stupid, whiny liberal shit that I fucking want to. I want to be like, yeah, I get it, but I just don't, man. It was Kepi Gooley, and like Dixon Clothing did a shirt, or was gonna do a shirt for them or something, and then it turned out that the Dixon Clothing guy put out a shirt that this Kepi Gooley dude didn't really approve of, and it was just a bunch of really, it was a bunch of extreme points of view colliding into nothing that mattered. It was all for nothing, honestly. It was just drama. You would probably side with Kepi Gooley more than I would, and then I would side with, well, not Kepi Gooley. And I don't even have a problem with that dude, but I think he overreacted and was very immature about it and said a bunch of things that he probably regrets to a certain degree. Or maybe he's egotistical enough to not feel bad about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have to like read about it. I don't know. I don't know anything about the situation, but
all right, let's talk about Victim in Pain for 5 more minutes before we get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, did you have one? Okay, I say let's talk about Victim in Pain. Let's talk about these 2 records. Was there one of them that you liked more than the other?
Victim in Pain.
Interesting.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Okay. I mean, like, just because of the raw anger from it, or what was it?
I'm just more into hardcore now, like in general, and I think that like I just really like, I don't know, it did it for me, you know. I mean, I have my moods and my moments and stuff, but I think I prefer like that type of hardcore to like maybe the more melodic and
Okay.
you know, singy stuff, I guess.
I still like the melodic stuff. I would say a little bit better, but I it's interesting. So when I first heard this old Agnostic Front stuff, Roger's vocals were hard for me to wrap my head around. I don't know if you had that problem. I don't like Bad Brains vocals either. Like I just don't like that style. Yeah, I don't really like that style of vocals, and people seem to really be upset by that too. And Rogers were close enough to that to where I was like, I don't know if I like this or not. I've come to appreciate them, and I probably need to go give Bad Brains a few more listens to and be like, okay, I probably liked it all right, but it's just not a band that I need to hear all the time. I don't really understand the whatever, man. I'm not trying to dog on them, dude. I just the vocals sounded similar to that to me, and it was a style that it was abrasive, and it was kind of hard to get into at first. Did you have that experience or no?
I think that I mean, if you compare it to Kevin Seconds, I mean, Kevin Seconds can actually kind of sing. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
And even in their later stuff, like you can see that like he's got a good voice. Like he can like hold a note and shit. But like it's like apples and oranges, right? Like,
yeah,
you know, we're not really comparing. I think that 7 Seconds maybe influenced the whole like second wave of like New York posse straight edge bands in the 90s though, right? Like it kind of came back around again. Like,
yeah,
it's weird like circular thing where it's like the West
Coast
definitely East Coast stuff, right? It's like the East Coast stuff influenced the West Coast stuff, and then the West Coast stuff influenced the East Coast stuff. Like second half of the era. So if we're talking about like a lot of like the New York stuff from the 90s, late 80s to the 90s, you know, I think it's more melodic, you know.
Well, I mean,
Little Biscuits and stuff like that, you know.
Look at bands like H2O.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, I think that there's definitely bands that came out in like, let's say 1986 to like 1996 that were influenced by both 7 Seconds and Agnostic Front, and they can combine the sounds, and then you get something that's like a little heavier but melodic, and you're like, oh, here we go. And it's probably like just starting to form a whole nother kind of hardcore music. I mean, you get bands like Terror. Terror has melody in their songs, dude. I'm sorry, but Lowest of the Low has a lot of really catchy hooks, and it's still a very raw punk rock hardcore record. But you can hear where he got some of it from Agnostic Front and some of it from a band like 7 Seconds. I don't know if it's specifically that band, but you know what I'm saying. Right. I really think I like the 7 Seconds one a tad bit more, and it is very, very minimal. On any given day, I could wake up and be like, nah, I like the Agnostic Front one more. But I had more fun listening to the 7 Seconds record, I think.
I see what you're saying.
And I jammed it a couple more times than I did the Agnostic Front one. But I've also heard the Agnostic Front one more, so maybe it's just like recency bias. You know what I'm saying?
But okay, just to kind of digress a little bit, it depends on my mood, and it depends on what day you're asking me to, right?
That's very, very true.
It's like there could be a day that I really just want to listen to fucking like angry hardcore music, and I'll be like Victim in Pain, which lately I've been listening to more angry hardcore. So it's like, but you know, but on days where I just want to listen to something a little more fucking fun and like upbeat, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, 7 Seconds, cool.
Yeah.
But you know, the 7 Seconds that I enjoy actually came out later. Like that album, New Wind, I think it came out in '86. I really like that record a lot. It's like a pop punk album, pretty much. You know, it's more or less
7 Seconds later music is way more my speed, because that's what I heard from them. Like, like Good to Go was an album that I used to listen to. Let's see what else. What else did I listen to?
That stuff is really accessible.
Yes. Oh man, they're such a good band.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, they're both really great, man. Shout out to both of these bands, dude.
They're
like
fantastic. But you know, we can't talk about. I mean, California had some heavy shit too, right? Like, Black Flag, and you know, I'm not even the biggest Black Flag fan. I got to be honest.
They're all right.
They're okay. Like, I mean, people. That's my hot take, is that Black Flag is kind of overhyped. You know,
I think a lot of people would agree with that, though.
But you know, they had their.
And a lot of people would definitely not agree with that, but a lot of people would agree.
Yeah, people love Black Flag. Are you kidding me? They're fucking one of the biggest punk bands in the world. But like,
oh, for sure.
I just don't like. I'm like, they don't do it for me that way.
When Black Flag becomes classic rock, we got a problem, folks.
It is, dude. I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, this stuff is fucking old now. It's crazy, right? So it's like, like, you know, these kids that come to our shows and stuff, like they're wearing like Nirvana t-shirts and they're like 16. I'm like, why? Why do you have a Nirvana t-shirt?
Dude,
but it's like,
okay. I so understand that, dude. I don't. So like my opinion on like that kind of topic is that I don't understand how any kid under the age of like, let's say 50 likes Pink Floyd. Like
any kid under the age of 50, that's a grown-ass man. That's like a
well, like, okay, so like one of my best friends, Josh, dude, if you're watching this, shout out to Josh, dude. You like terrible music, my guy. His favorite band is fucking Pink Floyd, and he's like 32 years old.
Ah, Jesus.
Exactly, dude. Like, how do you get into that stuff in 2005? Like, how did that even happen?
I think I have a theory. I think that like the stuff that we liked in the 90s is classic rock now. It's been 30 years, right? It's been more than 30. So if you think about the stuff that, remember in the 90s, a friend of mine brought this up to me the other day. In the 90s, everyone was talking about stuff in the 60s, like Jimi Hendrix and fucking, and The Who, and like, remember all that like, Led Zeppelin? And you had friends in high school that were like into like fucking shitty fucking classic rock. And
well, that's like, my thing is that there's still people that are getting into Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd right now, and I do not get it, bro. There's more interesting music out there, and if you want to do drugs and listen to music, there's more interesting that kind of music too. Like, what are we talking about, man?
Dude, that's what I was trying to tell you earlier, man, about like taste and like what's dude, people fucking like what they like, and no matter how much you try to tell someone their shit's lame and fucking basic and sucks, they're not gonna hear it. So
no, that's true. My favorite bands are terrible. I don't give a fuck.
That's what I mean. I mean, someone can tell me my shit sucks. Also, in California in the 90s, dude, ska shows were I was skanking the night away at the teen centers, bro. Fucking,
I still skank the night away, sir. I don't give a fuck. I love ska music, bro.
Where the ska shows at though, man? Actually, there's like a fourth wave right now. You talk
like the last like fucking 10 shows that I've been to, I'd say like 7 of them were ska shows.
Cool. Then people are dancing.
Suicide Machines, fucking what was the one I went to the recently?
And you know, I mean,
but I mean, they're a ska band still. Like, people are skanking at their shows, dude. They're still a ska band. Fucking all the Bad Time Record stuff's coming out. That label's killing it, dude. The Mustard Plug album was pretty great this year.
Oh, you like Mustard Plug? Nice, dude.
Yeah, I like Mustard Plug. And then I had the singer. No, I had I think the guitar player on. He was really nice.
Yeah, dude, you can't be a ska band and be a dick, dude. That you just have 2 strikes against. I mean, come on, man.
Do what?
You can't be a ska band and be a dick, dude. That just doesn't work.
That would be weird, bro. Like,
dude, you're in a ska band, bro. Like, what are you doing?
Why? You playing the Aquabats? Be nice. Fucking.
I mean, come on, bro. You like?
Hey, dude. Speaking of like people in ska bands that are pretty nice, I'm gonna have Mike Park on the show pretty soon.
Yeah, dude. I mean, Mike.
That's so cool.
That guy has done a lot for, especially where I'm from, and I grew up in like the South Bay. Like, he's a big part of like the reason why kids were able to do shit down there.
That's awesome, dude.
And I think like he really facilitated a lot of that shit. And you know, he's a lot of my good friends are really close with him. You know, I never.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah.
Dude, shout out Mike Park, man. Shout out Bad Time Records too. Shout out ska. Shout out Blink-182's new record. It's the best.
Is it good?
No.
It's not good. Yeah.
Okay, so there's 2 songs on it that are like really good. Like, I genuinely really like them. And then there's like 3 or 4 that are like, all right. But then there's 2 that are just outright bad. Like, they're just like, why did you put this on here? Like, they're fucking bad.
I didn't listen to Blink after fucking that.
Dude Ranch?
Dude Ranch. Yeah, I was done. That was it, man.
Enema of the State is a great record in my opinion. But that is not really a punk record. It's more of like a pop record with a little bit of pop punk in it.
I'm surprised that you like Blink-182. Like that is the most whiny fucking like, I don't know, like it's not like Blink-182 is very like, they're like your quintessential like whiny pop punk band. You know what I mean? Like that was the blueprint for like Newfound Glory and Fall Out Boy and fucking Good Charlotte and like all the other.
I don't really agree because I don't think any of those bands sound like Blink-182 at all. But what I will say is that when I heard Dude Ranch the first time, like it was just like
I love that.
It was like life changing because it was all that glossy shit we wanted. I remember, dude, I was 16 when that album came out. So like 17. We were 17 when it came out, right?
It was all about girls. The whole thing was about girls.
Yeah. Like, so like when it dropped, it was like it had like the punk sound and like aesthetic, but it had like the topical stuff that we were going through in our everyday life because we weren't in the gutter. We were like sort of suburban kids that were maybe I was a troublemaker, but I wasn't like, you know, I was poor, but I wasn't like in the inner city poor. There's a difference there, you know?
Yeah.
And so it just really it resonated with me, and it's just one of those bands that like it's not that I like Blink-182 because they haven't put out music that I liked in like almost a quarter of a century.
Yeah.
But the stuff that they did that I like is timeless to me. And I think that, you know, I will always listen to them and give them a chance because they were once a band that I really, really loved. And I think that the guys in the band are pretty cool dudes. And, you know, Travis Barker still helps a lot of bands. He plays with musicians that I like. And I think they're a gateway band. There's a million reasons why I still support Blink-182, but they're not a pop punk band anymore. They haven't been in a long, long time.
Is Matt Skiba still in the band?
No. That's long gone.
Okay, good. Because that was weird.
I prefer the Matt Skiba era.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Whew. I mean,
you probably haven't even heard all the album.
I have hot takes on Alkaline Trio though. I think that Matt Skiba writes terrible lyrics.
You fucking shut up, sir. You watch your mouth.
I said it. Dan's songs are better than Matt's songs.
I mean, I don't agree with that, but I don't really care if you. I mean, that's cool. Whatever. They're one of my like top 5 bands all time.
Come on, man. You gotta.
I don't agree with that, but I don't care. It doesn't bother me. There's a lot of there's definitely 2 camps there.
Yeah,
and I've met both of them, and Dan is really fucking awesome. I love Dan.
Fucking sweetheart, man.
And speaking of Dan, hold on. Let me show you what I just got.
He's a good ass dude. You got to get him on the show.
Oh, I would love to have him on the show. Like that's like a dude. If I was to choose 2 of them guys to talk to, I think I might choose Dan to talk to.
I want to talk to Matt Skiba, dude. That guy's fucking dude.
He was incredibly nice when I met him. What was wrong with Matt Skiba?
Okay, Matt Skiba, if you're watching this, dude, I'm just playing. He's probably good.
Yeah, Matt Skiba, dude. I've met him a couple times. He was like super fucking nice.
Yeah, I'm just playing,
dude. Speaking of Dan,
oh, the Falcon, yeah, him and the guy from Lawrence Arms.
Yeah, I just got this today.
That's a great record, man. I remember that one.
Yeah, I love that album, dude. Like when you said Dan, I was like, dude, Dan does write some good songs though. Not like I don't. Okay, and when I say that I prefer Matt's stuff, it's not that I prefer it by like a giant margin either. People always think when you say like, oh, I like this better, that means you like it better and the other shit sucks. No. I like it better by like this much. It's just a little bit better to me. I just prefer it a little bit, but I will take it all day long. That sounded super gay. I'll take it all. Come on, give it to me, Dan. But you know,
yeah,
that was weird. I think we should end it on that.
That's cool, man.
Awesome, dude. I hope you had fun, man. I had a good time hanging out with you.
No, I had a great time. I don't know who the fuck is gonna watch this and actually watch.
Bro, dude, I guess you. I don't know. How'd you even get to my channel? Because you don't seem to ever watch anything that I put out.
I mean, I watch it. It was the Aaron Micolo interview, man. I literally was like at the gym on my phone.
That's the worst thing that you could find my channel with.
I loved it. I was like, this is fucking great. I was like, this is like the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. I'm gonna keep watching this. Dude, and I'm like, what are they even talking about? I don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. And then it was you, and then you're just like, I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to be nice, and you're making it really hard for me. And I'm like, who is this guy?
Hey, dude.
And then it was just fucking hilarious. And then I commented on the thing. I'm like, please don't give this any more views than it already has.
Dude, today I got like 3 comments on that video today.
Dude, it's funny. It's because I just knew about her because like she interviews bands and
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret, dude. And I shouldn't be telling this on the channel at all, but I don't care because who's gotten this far in this podcast? Probably only a handful of people, right? So that whole thing was strategic by me. Like people think that I'm stupid. Some people think that I'm dumb. And the thing is that I'm not. And that whole entire conversation, you can like my wife, she hates talking about it, but she can verify that I was like, hey, I'm going to try to talk to her, but I think it's going to go left. When it goes left, I'm just going to have to keep my cool because I think she's going to dig herself a hole. And if she does it, I'm going to have to let her do it. And I can't be like, yeah, you're a fucking idiot because I can't be that guy. So I planned that whole conversation, bro. I knew that was how it was going to go, and I knew it was going to be a long conversation. I just didn't realize how much I was going to dislike her. I didn't think I was going to dislike her so much. She is awful, bro. I can't do it with her, man. But I knew that was going to happen. That was all. I knew it was going to be a big video. Bro, I'm not a dumbass. I saw an opportunity and I took it. Like, obviously, right? But I genuinely thought there is a small chance that she's actually likable, and I have to eat some crow, and like it is what it is, right? That so didn't happen. I within like 2 minutes, I was like, oh no, she really is a shitty person.
What the point of the conversation was? Like, I was entertained by the conversation. I thought it was.
Okay. That's the problem. Is that the point of the conversation never came to fruition because she didn't let us. We had a dude. I have all this stuff on messages, dude. I asked her, I said, hey, look, I would love to talk about the drama if you want, but let's do a get to know Aaron Micolo video, and that way people can get to know who you really are. She's like, oh, okay, yeah, great, yeah. And then we get on there, and she's just like, yeah, and you're a motherfucker too. And I'm like, whoa, sure, but what is going on? Like,
you're not wrong, but why?
Yeah, right. Like, yeah, you suck too, but like, I wasn't gonna say that. Like,
that's some funny shit. Anyway,
yeah, man. People watch the show because I like to go off on tangents, and I think some people get a kick out of it. I have a fair amount of knowledge, and I'm relatively easy to listen to, and I'm kind of funny.
You're fucking smart, dude, man, and I think you make a lot of. I might not agree with you on shit, but that doesn't mean that I don't like respect you or like think that you don't.
Vice versa. That's exactly how I feel. I don't agree with everything you say, but I definitely can understand how intelligent you are. And, different people come from different places, dude.
It's a genuine community. I think that the platform that you offer is important. I think that you're doing it's like really fucking like intentional and cool, and it's. I mean, hopefully people fucking like reap the fruits of this, man, and really like utilize it. I mean, like, this is something that you can have this conversation with a lot of people, and different times, and anyway. Yeah.
No, I appreciate the kind words, man. I work really hard to make it a place where we can all be a little bit different, be ourselves, but all get along. And like, I try not to do any of the fucking, oh, you shouldn't say this or shouldn't say, no, dude, just as long as you're being respectful, we can argue a bit. We can have our own opinions, but like, let's not be douchebags about it. Like, let's be civil. And I try not to be blocking people. But that's exactly why I kept the Discord a Patreon exclusive, though. Because I knew that the people that got to the point where they wanted to even throw back $2 a month, that they had a certain amount of respect for what we were doing. And that's the people that I want to have access to me all day. Because you can see how often I'm there. I'm there all the time. Because I want people to know that I'm like, I said I'd be here. I'm here. Like, this is our hangout spot. This is like our little clubhouse. We can do it from all over the country, all over the world.
Yeah.
So
it's just me, George, Dave, and Kyle. Sometimes
it's just like 5 of us in there talking shit, and none of us agree on anything, and it's awesome. Sometimes we're all like, dude, check out this new song, and it's all great. Who knows? It's a good time, man.
I don't really mind like the arguing, the commentary and shit. I mean, I think it's funny. Like, I'm not that soft. I'm not gonna fucking be like upset or anything.
I don't know if I believe that, but I appreciate you saying it.
Hey,
I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, it's all right. It's
no,
all
right.
We
do. Would you want to do this again in a few weeks or no?
Yeah, it would be cool if I don't know. I just felt like it was all over the place. I feel like,
dude, go watch a fucking episode. That's what this show is. It's all over the fucking place, straight up and down, bro. Watch any episode, and we hardly ever stay on track because that's
I'm just like I could imagine being someone watching this and being, what the fuck are these guys talking about?
It's just a hangout, bro. That's what I do. Now, we have bullet points typically, and once we get like a rapport down, it'll go much smoother. Me and Rob, our first like 10 episodes were really chaotic, and then I figured out that he likes to, like you said, he likes to talk. He's really intelligent. He's also an English teacher, so he does that shit for a living too. And so when I figured out, like, oh shit, I got to know him a little better. I was like, oh, okay, let him cook, dude. Let him do his thing, man. And I love it. I like letting him talk, man. It's all good. Sometimes I get a little bit.
Noticed, at least in the episodes I watch with you guys, that you guys like stay on point, like on topic. So
sometimes we don't at all. But like, this was 2 records that we didn't have a lot of knowledge on. There's not even a lot of knowledge about them. It's just like, hey, they're good records. We just listen to them, and how do we feel about it? I honestly didn't think we'd make it this far. I thought we were going to hit 40 minutes and be done. So I'm glad we had a longer conversation.
Yeah, I guess we both don't shut the fuck up.
Well, here's the thing: if you go back and listen to it, if you choose to, the whole entire conversation was pretty organic. It was never something that we just like decided to just jump ship and go over here. It was like, It followed like a weird path, but we ultimately got back to how do you feel about 7 seconds in Agnostic Front, and it didn't feel like it was a
logical. No, you're right.
So I think it was fun.
Yeah, we pretty much covered the record. I did want to stop on this though. There was a poster I found. Can I share an image in here somehow?
I don't know. If you can't, send it to me and I'll share it. I think I can do it.
How do I send it to you?
Okay, can you see the button on the bottom that says present? I think if you hit that, it'll ask me if I want to allow it.
Oh yeah. Share screen.
Yeah, hit that and see what it does, and then if it gives me a thing, I'll let it happen. Is it doing it or no? What?
Screen sharing tips. Share screen. It's saying with 2 monitors. Okay.
No. At the bottom where it says mute, stop.
But it's like asking me what screen I want to share. So maybe it'll let me.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's gonna. Oh, there we go.
Check it out. So this was a show that Agnostic Front played with 7 seconds in 1984. Actually,
that's fucking awesome.
It's a poster I think that's sold for like $81. So
I would have paid $81 for that if I had the money for it.
That's awesome. Yeah, right.
That's like a piece of history, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know these other bands are Death Before Dishonor and SDP, but anyway.
Man, Death Before Dishonor? Wait, is that the same Death Before? There's no way that was 1984.
I don't know. Is that
not if Death Before Dishonor played it?
Look at this very homoerotic scene.
I mean, yeah. Bunch of punks and skins getting it in, boy.
Anyway, on that note, it's been real, man.
Fuck yeah, dude. I'll talk to you on the chat. It's probably tomorrow, man. I'm gonna go film Rancid and Green Day tomorrow and get that shit up on there. And I'm gonna drop your band's thing tomorrow on the channel. So
yeah, dude. I mean, whatever. If you can do it, if you're too
I must do it. Let's go. All right, motherfuckers. If you're still here, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and maybe I'll take some Adderall next time and stay on point.
Yeah, and if you want me on another episode, then comment below. If you never want to see this mug again, fuck you. Just playing.
They'd probably rather me be gone than you, so man, I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out, man. It is very much appreciated. I will see you on the next Punk Rock Review podcast. Peace.